Hey there, it's Jody Sutter of the Sutter Company, and it's Just Ask Jody. It's that time when I take a question from an agency around an issue they're having with business development, and I'll answer that question in 4 minutes or less. And today the question is, should we use sales scripts? So in other words, should we use some kind of scripted formula in the conversations that we have with prospects to close a piece of business? So sales scripts have advantages and disadvantages. So let me start with the disadvantages first. Where I see agencies go wrong is when they use sales scripts like a formula. And so a formula or a recipe, it tends to be something that you want to follow in a step-by-step process. You want to do in a certain order. So you do it in a certain order, you say certain things at certain times in order to lead to the same result, just like a recipe. The problem is sales conversations are dynamic and often unpredictable. So you want to be careful that you're not over-relying on that sales script at the risk of not listening, at the risk of active listening to your client and intelligent response to what they're saying. Now, where sales scripts can be helpful is when they're used more like a framework, and they can be very useful for people who feel uncomfortable in sales situations, who feel more confident if they have a set of guideposts or guidelines that they can fall back on in order to move them forward through the conversation. So that's when sales scripts, I think, can become very useful. Again, maybe we should even remove the word script from this conversation. I recommend having a framework for your conversations that allows you to make smart decisions, ask smart questions. I try to stay away from something that's too formulaic and too rigid. I wrote an article about this recently, and I'm going to include the link in the show notes about the types of questions you want to ask and in what order. So again, it's more of a framework and less a script. You may want to check that out. But that's my answer for this Just Ask Jody. Should you use sales scripts? They can be very useful. Make sure you're using them as a framework, something that you can use and interpret rather than a hard and fast list of things that you want to ask. Don't let it be rigid. Sales conversations are not meant to be rigid. That's it for this Just Ask Jody. If you've got a question you'd like me to answer on another Just Ask Jody in the future, you can email that to me at jody@thesuttercompany.com. I'll see you next time.